social media and stop letting it use you. That's one thing about a business. It's an equalizer. It's a game changer. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. I may stop at some period, but as long as folks act the fool, got to talk about it. And one of the things you want to do as a business owner is to create barriers of entry. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more, they should be given more flexible work hours. We have to think like the successful companies. Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Because my dad was a minister, and so he was in the soul-saving businesses. I decided to take a different route. My mission, my purpose, my raison d'etre is to save businesses. Now, why do we need to save businesses in the first place? Well, for one thing, if you don't have some type of strategy or some type of plan or some type of understanding of marketing, your chances of succeeding in business are going to be very slim to none. So what I have done is made it my mission to make sure that this information gets into the hand of the people who need it the most. How do I do that? Well, I have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web located over in the Maryland, D.C. area. I'm also an adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College. I am a consultant for the Small Business Administration in the 8A program. I've written a couple of books even. One called Played in Full and another called Smarter Than the Boss. And so my goal is to make sure that we get this information because there are some things that are so important that not being able to afford it is not a good enough reason. That's right. By saying because the people who need it the most sometimes are the ones who cannot afford it. So I've decided to remove that from the table. And that's why I bring this show every Friday at 10:30 a.m. at no cost to you. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. And we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Now go to marketingpulpit.com. You can follow the show live and find the other platforms. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. And we're on LinkedIn. So this information is available on all those different platforms. And so thank you again for joining us today right here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. Let's see, we got a lot going on today. I want to thank the people from the National Black Association of MBAs. They had an event this past Monday on Martin Luther King Day. And it was a day of professional development. And I was one of the speakers and presenters on that event. Had a great turnout and met some wonderful people. Many of us have connected afterwards. And thank you again for that organization for bringing that information to the stage. Now, coming up in next month, I'm going to also be presenting at the Mount Pleasant Baptist Church, where I have been invited to speak as well, to bring information about business in the digital age. And so looking forward to that. Let's see what else is going on. We got a great show lining up today. We're going to talk about some foundational things relating to marketing, things that you should be doing if you are marketing. You ever get that book? Sometimes you buy a computer or a desk or something like that, and you get that manual in the box. And then you say to yourself, I don't have time to read this whole manual, and I'll be an old man or old woman by then. But also sometimes in that box, there's like a quick sheet that tells you how to do it if you don't have that kind of time. Well, I'm going to do that today for marketing. I'm going to give you the cheat sheet. How you can start if you have no understanding of marketing whatsoever. I'm going to give you some tips on how you can take a product from its inception to marketing and bringing customers in the door. So hang on to that. That's coming up later in the show. Also later in the show, we're going to talk about some things that are happening in the news. We're going to talk about, and we're going to do our segment, War in the Workplace. So hang on for that. We're talking about how people are actually still kind of doing some strange things under this pandemic. I don't know what's gotten into folks, but they're doing some really strange things right now. So this is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break and come back in a second. So don't go anywhere. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about, I'm going to ask you this question too before I go. You ever heard that old saying, build a better mousetrap and the world will be the path to your door? Well, I'm going to challenge that notion when I come back right here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. So don't go anywhere. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show, and we'll be right back in a moment. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. All ads are not created equal. Now, many people run ads on social media. Those ads are not guaranteed to work. People are pumping in this money on Facebook. They do a LinkedIn ad. They do Google ads. They're doing ads of all different types. And the problem is that there's not much of a strategy on the placement of these ads. And the goals are not necessarily clear. All right. Thank you. We're back. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. As I was saying before we went to the break, there's the saying that if you build a better mousetrap, the world will be the path to your door. Now, that's a notion that has been around for a while. And what that portends is that if you create the perfect service, if you're providing innovative, top-notch services and products that the public will reward you, they will literally be the path to your door. Now, that makes sense if you ask me. I mean, how can you argue with that? Except in this age right now, where marketers have become the masters of the universe. I mean, that's rhetorical, but where marketing now has taken on such a overwhelming countenance, is that it's not just good enough now to have a superior product. In the old days, that may have been the case when most of the word of mouth was probably the most popular form of advertising. It's still very popular now, but now we have social media, we have websites, we have influencer programs, we have all these different types of platforms. So a person with a great product can actually get lost in the mix. So what I want to ask you to do today is, yes, I want you to continue to put out a good product, but think about that quote: build a better mousetrap and the world will be a path to your door. What I'm going to ask you to do today is to spend some of that energy, besides putting out a good product, you have to put some energy on getting the world to beat that path to your door. No matter how good your product is, if people don't know about it, they're not coming to your door, and it's certainly not beating the path. I was talking to a client the other day, and we were doing their his advertising campaign, and we're advertising on some phenomenal platforms, big platforms. I mean, SiriusXM. We're putting on social media. We're doing every door direct mailing. We're doing direct mail. And as we sat there and we were putting all these strategies together, and we kind of jointly came to this conclusion that even though his product is above reproach. We have to become marketers in our business in order to create that degree of separation from the others. Being good is just not good enough anymore. You have to spend, I almost want to say at least 50% of that time creating that great product, but you got to spend an equal amount of time letting people know about it. You've seen companies that have an inferior product and they're really beating you to death. They'll beat you under the table. And you've asked yourself on many occasions, why is this company who has an inferior product outperforming me in sales and customer acquisition? Because they read the manual about the importance of marketing and how just having a good product is not good enough. So what I'm going to ask you today, no, I don't want you to necessarily go back to school and get a marketing degree, but you might want to talk to people. You might want to look at your product and service and make sure you have a product and service that people want. But you also have to make sure that you are getting that message in front of the people, that target audience that's going to support your services. That's why later in the show, we're going to do a quick cheat sheet on finding the pathway to marketing success. I'm going to give you it's going to be an 8-step guide. You've got to get this, because regardless of the type of industry you're in, that's why I call it the universal pathway to marketing success. We're going to talk about that later in the show. All right, let's talk about some of the things that are happening in the news. Once again, thank you for tuning in today. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Thank you for people who are tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter. Welcome to the show. If you're new, I have one question for you. Where have you been? It's not too late, because you can go to Marketing Pulpit right now, really, and watch most of the shows. We have most of the shows right there. You can go to the homepage. Just get yourself a good cup of coffee or whatever your beverage of choice. I happen to like coffee, even though I'm cutting back on the caffeine. But man, you can't beat a good cup of coffee. Hey, what? Look at the brand on that cup. Who is that? The brand there and the brand over here, they look the same. We talked about branding, ladies and gentlemen. You got a brand too. You've got a brand. You've got to let people, when people see your brand, they should know what you represent. People think that logo is your brand. Well, the logo is actually the iconic representation of the brand that you've already established. So don't get it twisted. Got the brand on my pen. Because when people see Marketing Pulpit, I want them to understand that we are a content-based channel to help people get on the right and narrow to marketing success. And that's why we're going to talk about that later in the show. I'm going to give you the quick test, the cheat sheet on marketing success. We're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in the news. And because, man, there's a lot of stuff going on out here. And also later in the show, we're going to talk about war in the workplace, some of the challenges that are being faced out here in the workplace. We're also going to talk about why a pastor felt it was okay to rub his spit and mucus in the eyes of one of his parishioners. And so there's some things going on out here we need to talk about. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. Go to marketingpulpit.com. You can find the show there. And you can also share it with others by just sending them to marketingpulpit.com. Some people don't have they're not in the Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn, but most people are familiar with a website. So if you have any trouble getting into the social media platform, by all means, go to marketingpulpit.com and you can watch the show live, really right there on the homepage. Thank you again for Brother Brown, the greatest plumber in town, for tuning in today. Always glad to have you joining us. And everybody else who's tuning in, whether you're tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, or wherever. Thank you again for tuning in. For all of the people who supported this show over the past few years. And don't forget, as we get into this year of 2022, opportunity will reward those who compassionately uplift others That's going to be my theme going forward in 2022. It's not just it's not good enough now that you go out here to make money. Doesn't that get old after a while? I mean, I know we got bills and sometimes people are struggling, but even when you're struggling, the little money that you do have is going to be more meaningful if you're using that to uplift others. And it doesn't always require money. Sometimes it's time, sometimes it's just compassion, sometimes it's introducing somebody to somebody. So anyway, let's go forward with that as we go into 2022. In the news, Omicron virus is retreating in New York and around the country. And the reason we pick on New York because it was the hotbed for a minute. Man, they were like almost everybody in New York seemed to have had Omicron. Well, it's retreating, and that's a good sign. We've seen drops in places all over the country, and so, but we're still struggling with the school systems. That's been a problem ongoing. I mean, I have much love and support for the school teachers. They are on the front line of this pandemic, and they're having to deal with students in front of them, students at home. People are still fighting over mask mandates and whether to come to school or not. And so we have to be a little more patient and understanding. I mean, everybody wants their little Susie, little Johnny to get the best education, but you got to think about also the people who are out here on the front line. They have children too. They have parents at home, some of them. They're in that sandwich generation. They have grandma, got the mom and dad sometimes they're taking care of. They got the kids they're taking care of. So it's not always about us. So let's show a little compassion for these teachers who are out here dealing with this, and the administrators. Everybody likes to second guess. Just like when somebody decided to close the school for snow. Man, they shouldn't have closed the school. The sun is in the middle of the sky. Well, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't know where that sun is going to be. So let's be a little less judgmental and more supportive of the school systems. And if you don't like it, go out here and join the PTA, the school parent board, or whatever, and make your voices known. But not just sitting around complaining. That's not the answer. The Biden administration is now sending out free masks to join the free test kits. I think President Biden is really into this thing. He's really trying to fight this COVID. Once again, we've got people second guessing the president. They're second guessing everybody who's trying to do something. This is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you. What would you do? That's what I keep asking people. What would you do differently? And many people shoot a blank when you ask them. They got all the answers when they're complaining, but when you ask them what would they do differently, they don't have the answer. Here's an interesting story. Baby boomers want to keep working. Okay, I can get that. Baby boomers want to keep working because what's happening right now, and this has been exacerbated by the lockdown and COVID-19, people were putting their little money aside and kind of had it all laid out what their plans are going to be once they retired. But now some people went into retirement early because they just got tired of some of the BS they're dealing with on their jobs. Some did it because they were laid off or downsized. But some people are just doing it in general because there's a new, what they call a great resignation. And so, but once they have left the workplace, many want to keep working through some type of maybe part-time or what do you call it? There's a term they have for it. But anyway, it's called when you're retired, semi-retired, I guess, when you're still working, but you're retired. And that's becoming the trend. People do not want to give up the workplace totally. Now the reasons are one they call the what is it? They call it the third act. They call the demanding roles. They're tired of that, and they're trying to get their financial house in order because they don't want all this stress, but they still need the money. So that's a trend that we're going to be watching going forward. Home sales are the highest in 15 years. People are buying homes. There's just not enough inventory out there. So if you're in the housing market, if you're an agent, I guess this is your season. But the problem is, even if you're an agent, if there's no houses to sell, nobody's selling. Everybody now, they got a lot of people in the home flipping homes, real estate investors. You get that phone call. I mean, I get a call or two a week, sometime in a couple in a day. Somebody say, "You want to sell your house?" No, I don't want to sell my house. And if you have your house right now, I mean, not to knock the real estate agents or the people who are trying to flip homes and get you to become whatever real estate investors. You have to think about the use of that house as an asset. You don't have to sell it to take advantage of it, and that's been something that's been a scourge on our community, that we've sold off many of our valuable assets instead of leveraging them. That asset is going to be more valuable when you use it as a leverage tool than when you sell it. I mean, you could sell it for twice the amount it's worth right now. I can guarantee you'd be better off if you hung on to it, because you can use it to get loans. You can use it for collateral and other types of transactions, just like a stock. You get a good stock, you don't have to sell that stock to get your money. You can use that stock and get up to 50% of the money by doing a stock loan. So same thing with homes. Hang on to those homes if you can, as long as you can. Sorry, real estate agents. But there are other things that real estate agents can do other than sell your house. Let's see. Google wants a slice of this metaverse. Right now, AR, which is augmented reality, is really a hot thing right now. Well, augmented reality is like a binocular headset, and you put it on and you have the real world integrated with the virtual or not so real world. And so Google now is planning to throw his hat in the ring. Facebook has something going on. Apple has their thing. So now Google wants to get a piece of this action. So I'm telling you, folks, let me tell you a quick little sidebar to this. There is money being made out here in this new technology. And even though many of you are not, you didn't go to engineering school or tech school or social media school, but there are still other ways you can take advantage of all this money that's being made. Matter of fact, I'm going to declare right now in one of my future shows, I'm going to talk about how you can make the different ways you can make money. And one of those ways is to resell, become ambassadors. There are ways to take advantage of this technology and all this money being made, even though you're not in that industry. So just because you're not part of Google or Amazon or these big tech companies, you can still benefit from it. And I'm going to do a show on that to let you know you don't have to sit on the sideline. If nothing else, hey, go buy their stock. I mean, I don't have any I'm not a fuel efficient electric car person, but I'll tell you one thing, I went out and bought me some Tesla stock. So I don't care how advanced they get or how much money they make. The more they make, the more I make. So get involved some way. You do not have to sit on the sidelines. I don't care if you're a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker. You can still get involved and make some of this money. Peloton is having a problem. Everybody was buying these Peloton machines. I guess everybody's eating all those cookies and all that food during the pandemic. They got all fat and jolly, and then everybody went out and bought a Peloton machine to try to work it off. Well, Peloton got a little happy, and they kind of went overboard. And now they're saying this waning. Nobody wants these machines anymore. They got stock up the yin yang. And so what they're doing right now, they're starting to cut back. Matter of fact, they paused production during the entire months of March and February, and to try to get rid of some of these treadmills that people bought. Man, they should have called me. I could have told them that one. I saw that one coming. It's like no matter how bad things are, you shouldn't overreact, or how good things are, you shouldn't overreact. Sometimes I know this sounds. I was a buyer for a national food chain back in the 80s, and one thing I learned about is inventory and out of stock. It's that constant juggling act, and sometimes you have to run out of stock. You can't just say I'm gonna get enough to last me forever, so I never run out. Is that because there's a fact that we call turn? You have to turn that inventory, because that inventory sitting on the shelf it could be damaged, it could be shrink, it could be you sitting on your money. So the folks at Peloton got you probably need a little buyer, like somebody with buying experience, like Robert Gatewood. No, this is not a a job application. I am not looking for a job, ladies and gentlemen. I repeat, I am not looking for a job, so nobody please call me and ask me to come to work for you because I am not going to do it. Now, that is true. I don't care who you are. All right, we're going to take another quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of these wars in the workplace. I'm going to give you my take on this pastor who thought it was a good idea to rub his saliva, his snot, his mucus into the eyes of a parishioner, because I think it's bigger than that. This is bigger than Pastor Todd. We're going to talk about that when we come back. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m., bringing you the good marketing gospel. Don't go anywhere. Tell somebody Marketing Pulpit is on, and we're going to be back in a minute. So hang on one second, and we'll be right back. And we had people that preceded us, like Dr. King. I mean, really, he laid down his life so that we might have a better life. And of course, people are always saying this nonviolent thing was a non-starter. Well, I'll tell you, sometimes in the comfort of our armchair quarterbacking, it looks easy when you look back through history. You say, man, if I had been back there then, they wouldn't have done that to me. They wouldn't have sicked no dogs on me. They wouldn't have put that water hose on me. I'd have sat at those lunch counters. Look what I've been pouring sugar on my head. Well, hate to tell you folks, you can't be sitting here looking back on history saying, what would I have done then when it's happening right now? We have voter suppression going on right now. We have redlining going on right now. So we don't have to go back to the 1965 Voting Rights Act. We don't have to go back to the Edmund Pettus Bridge or the 16th Street bombing. We have challenges in our midst right now that we can tackle. Let's talk about war in the workplace. I talk about stakeholder relationships quite often. Stakeholders is anybody who has a stake in the success or failure of your business. And generally, these components, these ingredients work in concert. They support each other. We have synergy. They're like, freaking frat, working together. But every now and then, what we're seeing right now, we are seeing them come to blows, literally. Thank you again for tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. I want to thank our new sponsor, Passion Events Design. If you or anyone you know is planning a wedding, then we have a sponsor who is really on top of things. Miss Alice, that's what I call her. She's a sharp young lady. and she decided that she would like to promote her business and support the marketing pulpit in the process. So thank you, Miss Alice, for joining our sponsors, along with other companies like BLE and the Perfect Batch Food and others who have already signed up to become sponsors in this quarter. So thank you again. And if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, just send me an email, Robert at Gate at marketingpulpit.com, or you can go to the website, just send me a note, and we'll tell you how you can become a sponsor of the show. And we'll be announcing you on this show, on this platform, and you can tap into our vast listening audience. Thank you again. And thank you, everybody who's tuning in from the different platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And yes, we will be back at Radio 1 at some point in the future. COVID kind of chased us out of the studio, and we're not back over there yet, but we are still, I understand we're still playing some reruns over at the station. And so you can find out more about the show over at Radio 1 by going to WLDCnews.com, and you'll see our spot there on the platform. Let's see. Let's talk about some things that are happening in the workplace. An Oklahoma pastor has apologized after smearing his spit in the ass of a man during his sermon. He basically said it just got a little too live. During his one of his speeches, he cupped his hands for 2 minutes and held it in his hand, and he finished it by telling the congregation that sometimes when you're receiving the vision, things might get nasty. Of course, then he rubbed his hands together and rubbed you can literally see it dripping off the guy's lips and eyes. And like, oh God, that is so gross. Oh my goodness. Well, let me just talk about that for a minute. I think this is bigger than Pastor Todd. Now, of course, the young man has apologized. He has a mega church there in Oklahoma. And I understand he has quite a following, and many people have forgiven him. I mean, I don't have anything against the guy personally. I think that was a terrible display. But what it does, it talks about the power of influence. And what people that have that influence can do and abuse. Sometimes people with influence can ask you to do some things that you really just shouldn't do. You should walk away from. I don't care who it is. It reminds me of during the Holocaust, people that had influence asked people to march other people, even their own people, into gas chambers. I remember down in the South America, out in the jungle, people were asked to drink cyanide and give it to their children based on somebody of influence asked them to do it. Not so long ago, we had an election where somebody told a large part of the population to discredit and not believe that the election was free and clear and fair. And then we have a pastor who's somehow convinced people that it's okay to spit in his hand and rub it across somebody's eyes and basically in their mouth during a pandemic and televise it to hundreds of thousands of viewers. Bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, that's cultish behavior. You don't have to be in a cult to engage in cultish behavior. We've seen what the damages of what a cult can do to humanity. They don't start out as cults. They rarely do. But what happens sometimes, the leader gets a little high on themselves. And they do it in baby steps. It starts out with something small. Okay, I'm going to spit on my hand and rub it on you. If you don't do anything about it, if you don't say no to that, then there's some other things I got coming down the pipe. And I'm not saying that was the intention of this pastor, but I'm saying in general, when you know something is wrong And your instinct will tell you when it's wrong. Don't do it. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Robert Gatewood telling you to do it. Don't do it. God gave you a brain, and he gave you sensibilities, discernment. Certain things just don't do. I don't care who's telling you to do it. Okay? So this is much bigger than Pastor Scott. I wish the brother well. I'm sure he's going to amend his ways and come back out and probably be stronger than ever. He doesn't need Robert Gatewood telling him what to do. But I'm not talking about him right now. I'm talking about you. And understanding the power of consensus, social proof, desire to belong, the bandwagon effect. One of the most powerful emotions known to man. And you can be victimized by it when that information, when that power is put in the wrong hands and you don't use this good brain that good God gave you. So I'm glad that most people rejected it. I've been following the information, the threads, and most people rejected it outright. But there's some that are still defending it, saying, hey, look, it was right. That's never going to be right. It was disgusting. It's nasty. It's showboating. It's a mind-controlling power play, and it should be condemned. Pastor Todd, you can do better, and I'm glad you apologized, and hopefully this will be a learning experience. Let's see. In Manhattan, an assassin masquerading as an Uber driver went up to the apartment door, knocked on the door, said, "Did somebody here call for an Uber driver?" The person came to the door and he was shot by the assassin. Man, this is something else I'm really wrestling with. Some of these great ideas that we have introduced over the past few years, things like ride share and food delivery to your home. These are great innovations. I love it, but I'm going to ask the innovators, the people who came up with these ideas, go back to the drawing board and put a little bit more time on safety and precaution. Food going to people's homes, delivered by strangers. We had a TikToker the other day talking about if she didn't get a tip, she's going to eat your food. Some don't eat it. They just do something to it. Now you got Uber drivers and what these other places, DoorDash and Lyft. Either somebody's robbing them or they're robbing somebody. I'm just going to say to the founders of these organizations, when you put this new technology out here, these new ideas, stay in the test tube a little longer and look a little further down the road. Look beyond that money you're going to make and think about the public that's being served, so that you don't have cases like in that case where some young lady at college got in the wrong car and taken out in the woods and had all kind of things done to her. So I'm not against technology. I'm not against advancement. I'm against stopping short of thinking it all the way through. We can do better. Well, this guy from better.com who fired 900 people over Zoom, well, he's back. He took a leave of absence. And for anybody who didn't follow that story, this guy went on Zoom one day right before Christmas and told 900 employees, if you're on this Zoom call, you're out of here. That was cold. Well, anyway, his company didn't appreciate it, and they told him he was out of here. But he's back. Hopefully he's learned a lesson and moved forward knowing that even though we have this technology, we have bottom lines to make, money to be made, you still have to think about people. I don't care how much money you're making or how much money you're losing. You still have to understand you're dealing with people. That's one thing I'm never going to forget. I mean, my company has been in some hard times. This has always been a bed of roses, I'm telling you. But I've never, ever, ever forgot that we're dealing with people. If I have to let somebody go, I mean, I try to do what I can to place them somewhere else, give them as big a severance as I can, let them know if I need them in the future, I'll bring them back, and I will. I will always offer them that job first before I hire somebody else. So let's keep people in mind at all times. Cowboys fans are still reeling from the loss this past week against the San Francisco 49ers. And Dak Prescott, the quarterback, he was fined $25,000 for his comments after the game. He was questioned by reporters like, hey, Dak, they were throwing cans and bottles and who knows what else at the referees as they were leaving the stadium. What do you got to say about that? Well, he said, well, to their credit, pretty much he was saying it was a good idea. And so he got quite a bit of blowback. People were really upset. The referee association came out with a strong statement, and then the NBA, the NFL, even the Cowboys, Stephen Jones came out and made a statement not supporting Dak's statement. And now the NFL has come back and said, look, that's wrong. So they fined Dak $25,000. And I think what he did was wrong too, because it's like we're in the society now where nobody wants to lose. and then almost to the point where not only do you not want to lose, but you're willing to put people's health, safety at risk because you lost. You can't condone that kind of activity. And I'm sure in the heat of the moment, that's what Dak said. I'll take his word for it. It was in the heat of the moment. I'm sure he didn't wish nobody to get hit upside the head with a bottle or get hurt. But they really took that loss pretty hard. And so a lot of Cowboy fans are still grieving over that loss. Let's see. A Georgia pastor. What's up with pastors today? A Georgia pastor was arrested after 8 people with mental and physical disabilities were found locked in his basement. Wait a minute. That can't be right. A Georgia pastor discovered 8 people, all of them mentally or physically disabled, locked in the basement of his home. Curtis Bankston, a 50-year-old, and his wife, Sophie, accused of operating an unlicensed group home. Man, sometimes people just get caught up. I bet you, I'm just going to guess for a minute, that was not their intention. They probably thought they were doing the people a favor. Some of them probably can't afford to go to a traditional home. They said, look, I'm going to bring Sister Susie's disabled son over here. We're going to take care of him. Well, Sister Susie tells somebody else. Next thing you know, Deacon Fred sends his niece over there. And next thing you know, you got something that gets out of hand. Well, we have to have regulations. And we have to check ourselves every now and then. I know some of you right now are probably doing something that's really not quite above board. Don't do it. It's going to come back to get you, I'm telling you. It escalates. It happens gradually. Some people are doing taxes that shouldn't be doing taxes. Somebody's doing BBL. What is that? That they shouldn't be doing. That's in the news like every week. The BBLs, that's a type of cosmetic procedure. You know who I'm talking about. It's going to catch up with you. I'm telling you. Let's just go ahead, folks. You're not going to get rich quick. Never works. And sometimes it's not even about trying to get rich. You think you're helping people. But when the law comes, they're not going to want to hear that. They're just going to take you down. They're going to take you downtown and lock you up. So, folks, let's don't get caught up in that. Don't get caught up in that. I mean, just take the time it takes to do it right. I mean, I've been guilty of that. I mean, not to the extent of these folks. I didn't have people locked in my basement. But sometimes you say, look, I'm just going to do this just to test the waters. And then next thing you know, things take off and you never go back and get the right paperwork to make it match. So it's going to catch you. I'm just giving you if you're under the sound of my voice and you're engaged in something that's a little, you're not having the nefarious intent. You just didn't get the proper certifications or paperwork. Let's fix that today. Let's make that our 2022 goal. Go ahead and do it if you got to do it, if your purpose is calling you, but let's do it right. Okay, if you need help, there are folks out here that'll help you. Even me. Call me up. I have a button on the marketing pulpit called a free consultation. I'll talk to anybody for 15 minutes. I'm about to take that button down. I'm getting a lot of dings here lately, and because I'm not doing it to get clients. Like I said, I already told you, I'm not trying to grow my client list right now. I'm really doing it to help. But I'm telling you, man, the thing gets sometimes I do it too many of those. I can't take care of my clients. So I'll take it I'll let you know. You'll see when you get there. If there's no dates available, just wait till the next date. And I'll talk to you about it if you need help. We were talking to somebody yesterday about a nonprofit, and we're going to help them get their 501c3, whatever you call it, and how to get those foundational grants and government grants and all that good stuff. We'll help you. You may have to spend a little money, but if you don't have some money, you need to stay on your day job. I'm sorry. I used to tell people that, look, everybody can start a business. Well, everybody can start, but everybody can't succeed. You have to have those 4 things I always tell you about. Right mindset, right mission, you got to understand who the market is, you got to have some money. And now I'm going to say you got to get that certification too. Good morning, Brother Bradley Thomas of the Bradley Thomas Law Firm. Is also running for City Council in the District of Columbia. Got a big event coming up this evening. Thank you again for tuning in there. Brother Thomas, always glad to have you joining us. Great individual. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how you get that box. You went out and bought that desk. You got that computer. You got that cell phone. And you open up the box and there's a manual in there, thick as your arm. And you say, man, I don't have time for that. I got a life. Well, sometimes we take that same approach to marketing. It's like, Gatewood, I understand what you're saying, but to become a marketer, to take a business and a product and get it to the marketplace and get sales, I've got to go back to school to get a marketing degree. That's 4 years. Or I got to take this course. I got to 5 hours. Well, today I'm gonna make it easy for you. That sheet that comes in the bottom of the box, that's called the quick sheet. I'm going to give you the quick sheet this morning to marketing success. So you don't want to miss that. So hang on a second. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more. They should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop in some period, but as long as folks bag the food, got to talk about it. Your first introduction to your network is actually your family and friends. Mom, dad, stepmom, grandpa, grandma, they are actually your first network. Now let's take this a little deeper here. So if our network determines our net worth, what if we're born into a network that's not really working in our favor? I think Maya Angelou said it better. When you know better, you do better. We can't determine who we're going to be born with. We don't choose our family. And in some cases, we're not even choosing our friends because we're cast into these organizations like schools and churches, sometimes before we even have a say in the matter. But as we get older and wiser, sometimes, I think Malcolm said it, sometimes you have to separate. You may have to go find yourself another network to hang with. People give for different reasons. Some give because it's intrinsic. It's part of who they are. Some do it because others give. And some do it for financial gain. Whatever your reason, it's a good thing. And so I'm going to ask you a quick question today. Does giving become you? Because when you give and you are aligned with your purpose, it attracts things. People come into your life that you hadn't planned on. People come into your life that's going to help you fulfill your purpose. When you do something often enough, it becomes you. If you smoke, you're a smoker. Okay? If you vote, you're a voter. If you sing, you're a singer. And if you give, you are a giver. When something becomes you, you don't need these reminders. You don't need a Tuesday giving day to remind you to give if giving becomes you. All right, to all my givers out there, thank you for everything you do. And I have been contacted, and really towards the end of 2021 and continuing into 2022, by people that have actually been contacting me about how they can actually become givers and what can I do, what organization need help, what type of individuals, how they can become part of the marketing pulpit to help further us with our mission of making sure that the people that need the help the most get the most help. I think Arthur Neely Fuller, that's one of his famous quotes, making sure that justice really is about not mistreating anybody and making sure that people that need the most help get the most help. And those are good words to live by. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gates with your host. Go to our YouTube channel and you can follow, subscribe, and we put up the shows on YouTube. Also, gatewoodmarketing.com. We have 1 minute. We have a marketing minute section on the website where you can actually get like a highlight from the various shows. And also on Instagram, we have 1 minute blurbs of some of the shows. Some of us, we don't have the attention span to listen to a whole hour show, and I get that. But we have taken the information and broken it up into categories, and you can actually search on different keywords and find a particular topic of interest to you. If you need more information on social media or some tips, you can just search on those particular terms. So we made that information, we contextualized it, and we just want to make sure this information gets into the hands of the people who need it. Let's talk about this quick start to marketing success. You bought this product in the past where it was something that was complicated, took a long time to put together and figure it out. You open up the box and you say, my goodness, I bought this baby crib, or I bought this bicycle, and I got to put it together. Well, if you're like me, a lot of folks, we just don't have the bandwidth to sit there and read that entire manual. So the people that make these products understand that human nature say, look, I'm just not going to do it. So what they do, they put a little sheet in there and say, look, we're going to make it easy for you. Now, you still may have to go back on the interest, on the stuff that's intricate. It's like a map. I mean, a map is going to get you from A to B. Now, it's not going to tell you, that map's not going to tell you to turn your windshield wipers on when it rains, or to turn your lights on when it's dark, or to stop at the red light. It's going to tell you how to get there. You may have to go back to the manual when you're driving if you want to figure out some of those intricate details. And the same thing with marketing. I'm just going to give you the basics on how to get there. You have to go back, and some things are easier said than done, but you do need to sometimes know what that roadmap looks like. You know, how far it's going to, how long it is, what states I got to pass through, maybe bridges or tolls. The map and the GPS can tell you that, but like I said, they're not going to tell you everything. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about how to get there. Now, this is going to be an eight-step quick guide to marketing success. And I don't care what type of industry, regardless of what industry, what service you're offering, this will apply to you. So let's start with, you haven't started your business yet, or you already have a business, but you're trying to optimize it. Let's start with a problem. Society is full of problems, needs, and wants. We don't have to go out and create anything new. Just look at the problems that exist. You got COVID-19 out here. People are stressed out. You got daycare issues, digital divide, affordable housing issues. We have enough problems. So just look at society right now and find some of those problems. Find some of those needs. Solve them. That is the beginning of a successful business. That's pretty simple, right? Well, it gets easier, actually. Now, you've identified what the problem is. Who has the problem? Single parents and moms, small businesses, baby boomers, sometimes even high income earners. You think they don't have any problems? Yes, they do. They got to figure out how to invest that money, avoid the IRS come knocking on their door. There are problems out here. Doesn't matter. Somebody has a problem. That problem falls into the lap of your target audience. So now you have a problem. You understand who has the problem. Man, we're starting to build this business. Now what happens? Now you got to create a message that lets this audience know that you can solve the problem. Okay? We have a problem. We have people that have the problem. Now they want somebody that can solve it. You can't just tell them there's a problem out here. You can solve it. That's where your message comes in. Create that message. Let people know that you have the skill, the expertise, the know-how, the credentials to solve that problem. You got a problem. You know the people that have the problem. Now you got to let people know that you can fix it for them. Now that we have the problem, the people, and you can fix it, now you got to let them know. You got to make that problem available, that solution available at the time and place that's convenient for the folks that have the problem. Do they want it downloaded? Do they want it delivered to their homes? Do they want a business on corner of 5th and Main? You got to make that problem, that solution available to that audience. And it's not the same for everybody. Whenever you get lost in this process, ladies and gentlemen, and this, you can't go wrong with this. Whenever you have any type of question about marketing, and you feel like you've lost your way at any point in this process, go back to the audience. What do they need? What do they want? Where are they looking for this solution? And that's where you need to be. So at any point in this process, it's 1 through 8. If you get lost, go back to the audience. That will answer the question for you. Now you've created this message to let people know that you can solve the problem. They got to get it. You can't keep that information to yourself. You got to let somebody know that you can solve this problem. We call that advertising. That's really what advertising is about. Advertising in a nutshell is about delivering impressions. But you have to, in that impression, you have to put in the message that you have what it takes to solve that problem. You may have to restate the benefits. You may have to restate the problem. You may have to do a good call to action. But part of that process, of this quick start process, you identify the problem, determine who has the problem, create a message, get a product and service that takes care of that problem. Then you got to let people know that you can handle it. And you have to deliver that message using the medium, the media, the delivery channel that audience uses. Are they on Facebook? Do they listen to the radio? Do they listen to TV? Are they on TikTok? Do they do every door direct mailing? Are they on Instagram? You have to determine, based on that audience that you identified earlier who has that problem, how they're going to get that message. Now, what I'm doing right now, I'm laying out this case for you. You have a product, whether it's a new product or you're trying to promote a product that you already have, of how to get that product into a profitability. You can reach critical mass. You can be successful. You can be profitable. I'm giving you the answer today. It's not that complicated. Now, there's some details you got to work out, but I'm telling you, this is a proven 8-step guide on how to be successful in marketing. And if you ever get lost, you can go back and play this, and you can say, that Gatewood was right. Let me tell you, folks, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've seen every type of business under the sun. I worked with lawyers. I worked with engineers. I worked with government agencies. I worked with mom and pop stores, butchers, bakers, candlestick makers. And this will apply to every one of them without exception. Now, you've got to be able to answer the questions. When you run that message out there, somebody's going to call and they're going to have questions. Everybody's not ready to sign up today. So you've got to be able to answer questions that they may have. We call that sales. You have to be able to restate the benefits, overcome any type of objections such as questions, and you have to be able to close. That's a pivotal part of this process. There is no magic ad that's just going to get everybody every time. We don't like to think of ourselves as salespeople, but there is a process. There is a part in this process that includes sales. I don't like to call it sales because what you're doing really just answering their questions and delivering the service that they need. you may have to go back and look at some of those first few things that we talked about. You have to understand the benefits of the product. You have to restate the problem sometimes, and sometimes the people themselves, they don't know how it works. So that's that sales process. Now, you have to produce a quality product and service. That's another part of this process. You have to produce a quality product and service. You can't just be throwing stuff out there. It's got to work. It's got to be tested. It's got to be proven. And you want to get some testimony to amen that to the audience. Now, you need a good product and service. Now, we talked about earlier in the show about build a better mousetrap and the world will be the path to your door. Followed by, you built a good mousetrap, but you also had to follow this with even greater customer service. You don't necessarily have to have the best, but you do have to have the best service. You need to exceed expectations at all times, not just some of the time, because that word is going to get out there. So let me recap quickly. This 8 steps quick guide to marketing success. And I want you to start using this, and you will see really a difference tomorrow, because you're probably missing at least 1 or 2 of these steps. Identify a need, a problem, a want in society. Determine who has it. That's your audience. Create a message letting people know that you have what it takes to handle that problem. Make the solutions available, the product, the services, at the times and place that's convenient for that audience. Deliver that message using the medium that they prefer, whether it's social media, print ad, TV ad. Be able to answer questions, overcome their objections, and close. Make sure you have a good quality product. And last but not least, I want you to exceed expectations at all times. If you do this and you have a product that people want, because I've already told you, you're going to pick a product that's solving needs, solving problems and satisfying needs. You will see marketing success in 2022 and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Thank you again for tuning in. I'm going to wish you much success in 2022. But continue to tune into this show as we bring you marketing tips. We bring in guests every now and then. We support quite a few causes because we don't live in a vacuum. We like to make sure you have a successful business, but there are other societal requirements as we navigate 2022. We just can't, bury our heads in the sand just because we have a successful business. And we also want to make sure that we're contributing back to society. We're hiring people, we're putting people to work, making sure our young people have good role models. So you have a responsibility as a business owner. And it's not just to make money. I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to hear that. Well, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it from the Marketing Pulpit. And I'm going to tell you why. It is one of those secret sauces of marketing success. Even though you don't do the good things to be successful, to make money, but there's a thing called reciprocity. You do good by people, and people will do good by you. I'm a living example of that. This show is an example of that. I don't get paid to sit up here. Nobody's paying me to do this. I'm doing this because I know it works. It helps people and it helps me. So make that part of your secret sauce of marketing in 2022, and you're going to see some phenomenal results. I see it every day. And it can happen to you too. So join us back next week. Also, feel free to share this information. Join our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And we'll be back next week. Also, send people to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. Go to marketingpulpit.com. I'm Robert Gatewood. You can find out more about me at robertgatewood.com. I'm also at gatewoodmarketing.com. That's my company where we create marketing strategies, business plans, web services. You can go to gatewood.co if you need a domain name or SSL certificate, hosting, all those services that you can get from GoDaddy and Google and all those services you can get from our company, gatewood.co, where we have our web services. And of course, tune in each Friday right here to find out more about how you can make your business successful in 2022 and beyond. Thank you again for tuning in. We're going to tune out here, and we'll be back next week right here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. And if you want to be successful, you got to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. People don't understand marketing. You can't stop every time the money runs out. You need to come on and tell people why your service is different. Why is everybody so angry? Airline passengers biting the TSA agents. I mean, it reminds me of one of those zombie apocalyptic movies. And as a community, collectively, we're going to be taken more seriously if we have that strong economic foundation. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk, let's get to work.